Welcome to Chapter 7 of Farming in the Age of Water Wars, Climate Change and Water Law. As the planet warms, the delicate balance of water resources is under threat, challenging the laws and agreements that have governed water for decades. Water, once thought endless and free, is now a fragile and contested resource. As our planet warms, the age-old rhythms of rain and river are breaking down. The question is no longer if water will run out, but how we will share what's left. Water is the foundation of life, yet the rhythms that have sustained rivers, lakes, and aquifers for centuries are shifting beneath our feet. Climate change is rewriting the rules of water. Rising global temperatures are altering rainfall patterns, making wet regions wetter and dry places even drier. Climate change is changing water. For generations, water management systems were built on assumptions of predictable weather and stable water supplies. But today, these assumptions no longer hold. The floods that once came every 100 years now strike with alarming frequency, while droughts linger longer, stressing farms, cities, and ecosystems alike. These changes challenge not just how much water is available, but when and where it flows. Climate change is creating uncertainty and scarcity, forcing governments, industries, and communities to rethink their approach to water management. Traditional water laws and policies, designed for the past, struggle to address the rapid pace of environmental change. This chapter explores how climate change is transforming water resources worldwide and how legal frameworks are adapting or failing to adapt to this new reality. From drought policies that seek to be flexible and responsive to international disputes over shrinking shared waters, the stakes have never been higher. As the climate crisis deepens, water law is at a crossroads. Will we rise to the challenge with innovative solutions and cooperation? Or will outdated systems fuel conflict and inequality? The future of water depends on the choices we make today. The impact on water resources. Climate change is reshaping Earth's water systems in profound ways. One of the clearest signs is the rapid melting of glaciers and shrinking snowpacks that have traditionally acted as natural reservoirs, slowly releasing fresh water during warmer months. In many regions, these frozen stores are disappearing, reducing the reliable flow of rivers that millions depend on for drinking water, agriculture, and industry. At the same time, rising temperatures increase evaporation rates from lakes, rivers, and soil, drying out landscapes and lowering groundwater levels. Groundwater, often called the hidden water source, recharges more slowly under hotter, drier conditions. This threatens wells and aquifers that supply communities and farms, especially in arid and semi-arid areas. The growing frequency and intensity of extreme weather events, including prolonged droughts and sudden destructive floods, further stress water systems. Droughts reduce surface water availability. Water availability, increase competition among users, and weaken ecosystems that rely on steady flows. Meanwhile, intense floods can overwhelm water infrastructure, contaminate drinking supplies, and disrupt daily life. These impacts do not occur in isolation. They interact with rising water demand from growing populations, urbanization, and expanding agriculture. The result is a water cycle marked by unpredictability and scarcity in many parts of the world. This new reality exposes the limitations of existing water management approaches. Systems designed for more stable, historical climate patterns struggle to cope with rapid and extreme changes. the consequences ripple across economies, food security, public health, and the environment. Understanding how climate change alters water resources is the first step toward adapting laws and policies to protect this essential resource. The following sections will explore how water governance is responding or failing. Water law struggles to keep up. Water laws and policies were mostly created in a different era. One when climate patterns were more predictable and water supplies seemed abundant. These outdated water rights and regulations often assume a steady flow of rivers and reliable rainfall, but climate change has shattered those assumptions. As droughts grow longer and water scarcity intensifies, conflicts over water use increase. Farmers, cities, and industries all compete for shrinking supplies, yet many legal frameworks lack the flexibility to adjust allocations in response to real-time conditions. Rigid water rights often lock in outdated priorities, favoring historic users over emerging needs. In some regions, laws do not adequately consider groundwater, which is critical as surface water becomes less reliable. Without clear legal protection, groundwater pumping can worsen shortages and harm ecosystems. This gap leaves communities vulnerable and fuels unsustainable water use. Climate adaptation law is still emerging. Policymakers face the challenge of balancing competing interests while preparing for uncertainty. Some areas have begun reforming water laws to allow more dynamic management, such as temporary water transfers or priority shifts during drought. These adaptive policies aim to better match water use with availability, reduce waste, and support resilience. However, reform faces political resistance. Changing water laws can threaten powerful interests and established rights, leading to legal battles and delays. Additionally, fragmented governance, where multiple agencies oversee water, complicates coherent adaptation strategies. The struggle to modernize water law reflects a broader tension. How do we govern a resource that is both vital and increasingly unpredictable? Addressing this requires innovative legal frameworks that can evolve with changing climate realities, ensuring fair and sustainable access to water for all users. In the next section, we international disputes over shared waters. Water knows no borders. Rivers, lakes, and underground aquifers flow across countries, binding neighbors in a shared fate. But as climate change tightens the grip on water supplies, these shared resources have become flashpoints for tension and conflict. Transboundary water conflicts are rising as countries grapple with reduced river flows, shifting rainfall, and increasing demands from growing populations. The Nile, the longest river in Africa, is a prime example. Upstream dam projects by one country can drastically reduce water downstream, sparking fears and political disputes among nations that depend on the river for drinking water, agriculture, and energy. Similarly, in North America, the Colorado River supplies water to 7 U.S. states and Mexico. Prolonged drought and overuse have left the river running low, forcing complex negotiations over who gets how much and when. Climate change threatens to make these negotiations even more difficult. International water law aims to provide frameworks for peaceful sharing and management of these vital resources. Treaties and agreements try to balance the rights and responsibilities of each country, setting rules for water use, quality, and dispute resolution. However, Many of these agreements were crafted decades ago, before the full impact of climate change was understood. Adapting international water law to climate realities is crucial but challenging. Countries may hesitate to renegotiate agreements that could limit their access or require costly infrastructure changes. Lack of enforcement mechanisms and political mistrust further complicate cooperation. Despite these challenges, examples of successful collaboration do exist. Joint river commissions and shared monitoring systems help build trust and ensure transparency. As climate pressures mount, international cooperation over shared waters will be key to preventing conflicts and securing water for millions. Next, we'll explore how drought policies and adaptive governance are evolving to meet these complex challenges. Drought policies and adaptive governance. As climate change intensifies droughts worldwide, governments and communities are rethinking how to manage scarce water resources. Traditional drought policies often rely on fixed rules and emergency measures, but the growing unpredictability of weather demands more flexible, adaptive approaches. Adaptive water management means adjusting water use and allocations in real time, based on current conditions and forecasts. This approach helps reduce waste, prioritize critical needs, and protect vulnerable ecosystems. Instead of rigid water rights, adaptive governance embraces collaboration, innovation, and community involvement. In several regions, drought policies now incorporate climate data and advanced monitoring tools. Water managers track soil moisture, river flows, and reservoir levels to make timely decisions about restrictions and resource sharing. These data-driven policies can ease the impacts of drought by allocating water where it's needed. Indigenous communities are also playing a vital role. Their traditional knowledge of local ecosystems and historical climate patterns provides valuable insights for managing water sustainably. Inclusive governance that respects indigenous rights and involves local voices strengthens resilience. Yet, adaptive governance faces challenges. Political resistance, funding constraints, and institutional inertia can slow reform. Some regions lack the legal frameworks to support flexible water management or suffer from fragmented authorities with overlapping responsibilities. Despite obstacles, drought policies that prioritize adaptability and fairness show promise. They demonstrate how societies can prepare for and respond to the uncertainties of a changing climate, while safeguarding water for people, farms, and nature. The next section will examine how global water treaties and international cooperation are evolving in response to these challenges. Global water treaties and cooperation efforts. In a world facing growing water scarcity, international cooperation is more important than ever. Global water treaties and agreements provide frameworks for countries to share transboundary rivers, lakes, and aquifers peacefully and fairly. These legal tools are essential for preventing conflict and promoting sustainable water management across borders. Many of the world's major rivers, like the Danube, the Mekong, etc., and the Rhine, are governed by international treaties that establish water allocations, quality standards, and mechanisms for dispute resolution. These agreements encourage joint monitoring, data sharing, and coordinated responses to droughts, floods, and pollution. However, many treaties were negotiated decades ago, before climate change dramatically altered water availability and demand. Adapting these agreements to new realities poses significant challenges. Some countries resist renegotiating treaties that could limit their water. Enforcement remains a key issue. International law lacks strong mechanisms to compel compliance, relying largely on goodwill and diplomatic pressure. Political tensions and mistrust can undermine cooperation, especially when water resources become scarcer. Despite these hurdles, innovative approaches are emerging. Some regions are adopting more flexible treaty provisions that allow for adjustments based on changing conditions. Others are creating joint river basin organizations to manage resources collaboratively, build trust, and foster transparency. The future of global water cooperation depends on countries' ability to adapt treaties and governance structures to the evolving climate landscape. Strengthening these agreements with flexibility, fairness, and inclusivity is critical to ensuring water security and peace for millions. In the final section, we will reflect on what a just and resilient water future might look like amid the challenges of climate change. A new path forward. As climate change reshapes water availability worldwide, the challenges before us are immense, but so are the opportunities. Securing water for people, agriculture, and ecosystems demands innovative laws, cooperative governance, and a commitment to justice. Water security is no longer just about having enough water. It's about managing scarcity, variability, and competing demands in a rapidly changing world. Climate resilience requires flexible legal frameworks that can adapt to uncertainty, balancing human needs with the health of rivers, wetlands, and aquifers. Equity and water justice must guide this transformation. Historically marginalized communities, including indigenous peoples, often bear the harshest impacts of water scarcity and pollution. Their voices and rights must be central to shaping policies and agreements. We've seen examples of hope, adaptive drought policies that respond quickly to changing conditions, international treaties that foster cooperation instead of conflict, and growing recognition of traditional knowledge in water management. These efforts show it's possible to build systems that are both sustainable and fair. But the path forward won't be easy. It requires political will, collaboration across borders and sectors, and a shared understanding that water is a common good, not a commodity to be exploited. The future of water depends on choices made today. By embracing innovation, inclusivity, and resilience, we can rewrite the rules to meet the realities of a warming planet. This chapter closes with a call to action to protect water as the lifeblood of our planet and ensure it remains a source of life and cooperation for generations to come.